So once again, figure me out. I was working. I was approached by a guy, but the way he approached me was like he turned off the side and was like, "Hello," but wasn't trying to introduce him or anything. And I noticed him trying to look at me, right, by passing me by and just kind of staring at me. But here's the weird thing. It's like I don't know. It made me go into thought because I work alone pretty much, and I have nothing but time to think when I'm working. So I was thinking, and I started to realize how attraction works, right? Because I'm attracted to men, but at the same time, like, I've kind of lost an attraction to them in a sense. And it's weird because I realized when I was a gay man, right, I dealt with all kinds of people, people that were out, people that were DL, people that were just kind of bi-curious, right? But it's funny because I was able, right, to love them, for their entirety. You know? In other words, I've noticed there's like three main levels to attraction. There's their physical body, right? Which in my perspective, I think like strength, physical strength, or prowess, even in women, right? I think, and that's because of survival, right? And so then you have beauty, right? Face, how healthy they look, how beautiful they look in the face, and then, so I have what? Your body, your face, and intelligence, how intelligent you are. So those three levels of attraction, I've noticed, are things that that allow me to be attracted to men, and then be attracted to me. Now, I've noticed that heterosexual people act like they're not attracted to the same sex. And if you ever watch my other video, I had stated that I don't believe that heterosexual people exist. But anyways, so let me sit down. Whew. So I came to the realization that, like, when you do that, what happens is you start to admire that person. And not only do you admire them, you start to respect them, But it's weird because, like, when you respect somebody, you almost see them as equals. So one thing about men, because we live in a patriarchal system, is that, like, men's attraction to women has become, fragmented, where they only see the beauty. They don't really see women's bodies as, how do I put this? Like, they don't admire a woman's body in a respectful way. Now that I've transitioned and I have breasts and whatnot, I can look at another woman's breast and not look at it in a sexual way. Even if she has really big, voluptuous breasts, I can look at her breasts and be like, oh, she's really attractive. Or I could be like, wow, she has really big breasts, like, that must be like hard to clean and like, hard to deal with. Sleeping must suck, like I can relate, I can connect, I can personalize it in a way, So it's like men have lost that. They don't look at women in their entirety. They look at them, you know, especially heterosexual men in the heterosexual world or whatever, right? And it's weird because as I've transitioned, I've seen men's attraction go from like the full-on attraction where they're attracted to my body. They think that I look, strong and healthy. They're attracted to my mind. They think I'm intelligent, smart. They're attracted to my face. They think I'm handsome or whatever. Well, I was handsome. And as I've transitioned, all those qualities that is totality, end up as respect or admiration, right? They admire you and the admiration turns into respect. But now that I've transitioned, it's like I'm attracting heterosexual, or at least heteronormative, or leaning to the heterosexual men, right? And these guys, they don't respect me. And it's crazy to me because it's like, this is why I say I don't want to hang out with cis people anymore, or especially cis heterosexual people anymore. I don't want to do anything. I don't want anything to do with them because I just think they're crazy. I think a man is crazy for that. And because we live in a patriarchal society, right, and it's supposed to be led by men, you see that the women are following the men. So a lot of women, right, and not only just this admiration and respect, have that quality to it, it's also a sign of love, right? That's how you can love somebody, even if you don't actually like them. If you get to know a person, this is how you end up loving them or appreciating them. It's like you appreciate them on those aspects. You appreciate their body, how they take care of it, things like that. You appreciate their beauty, how they express themselves, if you will, their face or whatever, and you also, you appreciate their mind. But it's like, heterosexual people do not do this. See, a lot of women, when they were younger, a lot of straight women, they have done this with men, and they were attracted to men. But then something happened where they realized in the sex game, that men are not doing this. They're only looking at women for one aspect. And because of that, it's like they do the same thing with men. That's why when I was a man and I was, we all grew up, being taught that we were heterosexual. So when I was a young man, 15, 14, 16, 17, I had girlfriends, but it didn't work out because when I was gay, yeah, but at the same time, it's because they try to, push one aspect of you. For me, they weren't attracted to my mind. They weren't attracted to my body, when it comes to how I express myself or how healthy I took care of myself, all those things. They didn't care about that. All they cared about was my face or my beauty. All they cared about was I was 6'2", tall, dark, and handsome, and that's all they cared about, and so I broke up with them a lot of times because I just didn't feel like they actually liked me. It was weird, and I always felt weird about that, and so it's something that I've noticed a lot when it comes to these people. That's why even now, as a trans woman, it's the same thing, I'm attracting a lot of lesbians. I'm attracting a lot of, if you will, down low women. I think they're down low. They don't say they are. They don't say anything, but I think they are because they're attracted to me as a woman, as a man. Excuse me. If you're attracted to me as a man, it makes no sense. I have breasts, So, anyway. So, yeah, it's one of those things where I've noticed that that's the problem, and that's one of the reasons why I don't really want to, talk to or be friends with or associate with cis heterosexual people, because I feel like a lot of times they have this, you know, tunnel vision when it comes to dating and people. And it also brings me to this. You know, in my experience, heterosexual identified people usually are more gay than gay people. You know, they are more freaky. They want to do more nastier things. They are more nastier. They're literally more nastier. Like they don't shower or whatever. You know, it's crazy because, like I said, they want to deny their attraction. They have an attraction to the same sex, but they want to deny it. Now, I understand maybe you aren't attracted sexually, right, to the same sex, but the way you're attracted to the opposite sex, it's such a tunnel vision. It's compartmentalized. It's ridiculous, you know, because they don't look at women as whole beings. Women end up not looking at men as whole beings because they're playing the sex game, you know. And because they're playing this game, it's like they only want to, you know, for you for your sexual value or whatever, you know, instead of you as a person. That's why the divorce rate is so high. That's why they're always making stupid videos on social media about each other. Oh, women are this and men are that. Like what? Like how, you know, like like how many years have we been in a you know, a tradition of monogamous relationships in lifetime marriage, and you people still haven't figured out this synergy? You haven't figured out how to like coexist? It's ridiculous, right? So that's all I'm saying. I think that we need to do that more so we can keep the love. And it's just thing I notice when it comes to guys that I don't really see myself being with a heterosexual person. You know, I don't think I'm gonna be with a cis person. You know, because like I said, even though I'm attracted to guys, I'm attracted to, you know, the girls or whatever. It's just I can't do cis people because they are so messed up in the head. They are so messed up in the head. It's just, it's too much. You're dealing with too much, you know. Because even the gays are like that, you know. When you deal with gay men, it's the same type of thing, you know. They only want to look at you a certain way. I mean, that's what kind of changed me a lot, was the fact that I was with my boyfriend. He was somebody I knew from high school, you know, and I was in my early 20s, and guys just, when we first came out to each other, like, it was really like a lot of love, you know? But then it slowly but surely went away because he didn't want to get attached. And so he just kind of went deeper and deeper into the closet, you know, because he was afraid to love me, you know. And that was like such a sad thing, you know, because it went to the point where he abused me a lot of times. Not physically, like assaulted me, but like he put me in compromising situations that were so detrimental. I ended up being homeless. I ended up losing a lot of money, you know. It was really messed up, you know. Fallout with my family, you know, all types of nonsense, because like the guy just wasn't ready to commit to himself. Not even to me. I didn't ask him to do it for me. I told him to do it for himself, and that's all I really cared about. But anyways, yeah. But little did I know that I was actually not trying to transition for him to keep him around. Like I already knew I was trans, but I was holding it in and, you know, whoop-de-whoop. But at the same time, like I remember the last conversation that I had before I moved. You know, where did I go? Oh yeah, the last conversation I had with him before I left, um, out of the city at the time was I told him, could you see me as a woman, or do you want me as a man? Like, are you only attracted to me as a man? And he was like, look, I'm only attracted to you like as a man. I only want you to, as a man. And it was sad because I told him, I was like, well, I understand that, and I'm grateful. You told me the truth. I had to bring it out of him. It was still like, no, you know. It was just something that I knew I couldn't. And it's sad because when you start to connect the dots and you start looking at his actions more than like his words or whatever, it's like, man, guy was such an asshole, and that's why I know he was abusive. I remember it was way before we even got together. We were just hanging out. It's like straight out of high school. Like, I remember there was this tranny who lived at like the apartment complex that I was at. He came to visit me and my roommates or whatever. And then I remember him talking to her. And then, like, this is a time where it's like everybody, was like, oh, tranny, whatever. And it was like, the guy literally like was talking to her. And then I remember he came back to the apartment, and I was looking at him. I said, hey, that's a trans person, right? Or whatever. And he was like, oh, it is? And so that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. And now I realize what the problem was. And guess what? Yeah, he was a bottom. It's like this guy was trying to get with a trans girl because he didn't know how to come out to himself, You know what he was doing? But probably she turned him down because she already knows the game. The girls, the dolls, we know the game. So, like, yeah. She probably turned him down, and he probably felt really bad, which most guys do, because he's thinking, oh, you're a tranny, like, you're the bottom of the barrel, like, you're supposed to automatically say yes to me. And that's what I'm saying, like, the dehumanization of people, it's crazy. It's like, so that's the reason why I was like, man, I knew he was just not a good guy. And this is the part of what I'm talking about, because he doesn't appreciate this person. He's probably not even attracted to her. But anyways, that's the reason why I don't want to have sex with none of these guys. It's like, they're probably not even attracted to you as a trans woman. They probably are just trying to get some type of gay awakening, see what's underneath see what's underneath the hood. They just want to look and see a chick with a dick so they can be like, okay, that's hot, or it's not hot, or maybe I like dick, maybe I don't like dick. You know what I mean? It's like, that's where their brain is at. And so they want to be with somebody who they feel like is half man, half woman, And I'm not doing that, Literally, I was picking up a box today at work, and like, I grazed my genitals, and it kind of freaked me out. And for the past like few days, I've been going through like a lot of mental turmoil, and just, I don't even know, like, just going crazy in my head, because it's like, I don't know, like, the genital dysphoria was like the first dysphoria that I had when I had late onset genital dysphoria. That was like the determining factor, because in my mind, it's like, all I can think about is if I didn't have testicles, I wouldn't have testosterone, making me 6'2", making my voice so deep, making my hands so big, like all these different things. And it's like, that's all I'd be thinking about. That's all I'd be thinking about, And, I don't even like to feel it now sometimes. Like, as I transition more, it's like my body's becoming so feminine. And I'm like, oh, even that part right down there is becoming a little bit more feminine, Like, it's not the same, but still, it's just like, that being there and me knowing that it's producing testosterone, and that is why I have to constantly take pills every single day, just kills me. You know, it destroys me on the inside. Like, I was using the restroom today, and I only use the stalls at work, only when I have to. And it's just like all these guys came in, they're all coughing and sneezing and like making round, nasty noises. They smell different than I do. And it's just like, why, And then like you look down and it's like, that is the reason why, That is the reason why. I've had people literally like walk past me, look me in the face with a confused face, and literally like squat down and look at my genitals to see if, and it's just like those type of things. That's the type of, I don't know. It's just a lot, And so the genital dysphoria, bottom dysphoria is so strong, Like, it's the strongest thing, I didn't really care if I had, breasts. I didn't care if I looked super cute. All I cared about was I did not want to have this down here, because I always knew that that's what produces testosterone. That's what makes you, or made you into a man. And so it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to cope with it, especially now that my libidos came back after like 2 years of transition. Like my libido actually came back now. Now I can actually like, get aroused fully and do what I gotta do. But it's different now, right? But still, it's just like doing that, pleasing myself, still makes me feel weird. Like, I honestly can tell you, I don't even get that much pleasure from it, which is weird to even say that. I don't even get that much pleasure from it anymore. Like, that part down there doesn't even, like, touching my chest, touching, like, my body, all around my body, I get stronger sensations from that than touching down there. At least trying to work it like I used to work it, you know what I mean? Anyways, I don't want to go into it too much. I've been dealing with a lot, and, I don't know. I just don't want to waste my youth, like not having fun or whatever. But like, how can I have fun when I don't even like my genitals? And then it's like, how am I supposed to even have fun with somebody who likes my genitals when I don't even like my genitals? That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Anyways, I've been on this too long. Sorry guys, but love you. Bye.